I loved the concept of this like old school kind of stop motion picture type of film. That's very much reminiscent of earlier decades. But seeing that style set in modern day, and we can see that based off of the computer, the laptop that he's using, and you'd almost assume that he'd be using like a typewriter or something more manual. But yeah, so he has a laptop. So I was like, oh, that's really, really interesting to kind of like merge those two worlds. And the actor was so talented, so comedic. I think that he did such a great job of embodying this type of filmmaking.
I like how interactive it was and, that there was no dialogue, but this film was, like, really upbeat, and I think a lot of that was achieved also through the music. I think this piece also really heavily relies on the actor who delivers, exactly what he's supposed to do very beautifully. So I thought this piece was very fun, very upbeat, light, and interesting.
I love the intro screen and the music, and you see the one name doing everything, and that was very funny. And then yeah, it was his one man show. It's really nice to see somebody can just pull this off all on their own like this. He did a great job. Yeah, a wonderful use of the music and editing to the music. And fun performance, and it was kind of like it's almost like a humorous Twilight Zone. It's like frame fumble. It was like the film, the style of the film is closing in on him. His life is suddenly a silent movie, and it's vexing. But yeah, it was funny because, and also because it's set in a modern time. He's got a computer. He's not dressed up and doing something set in the 1920s. It's today, and today becoming a silent film. So yeah, funny all around. Good concept and wonderfully executed. And he was very funny. The slapstick acting and everything. His humiliations and what he had to overcome was all very, very well done. Very funny.
This is giving me a screwball comedy stuck in the 1920s silent movie era. The graphics and sound effects alongside the music was giving me a feeling of watching a very old cartoon. The takeaway for this is not to procrastinate, and as the protagonist has on his work, the laptop and computer is a dead giveaway that it's still the current 21st century rather than the 20th. I feel like the use of the black and white color grading to go alongside that old school feel worked well. I found it very intriguing to use the aspect ratio as the main element when the man is pushing out the negative black space around him to open up the room. I can tell the black screen was a distraction and obstacle setting him up to fail his deadline.
Reminiscent of the silent films, but I thought it was funny because it, brings you back to the silent films, but yet he's using a laptop in the film. So that kind of, juxtaposition was hilarious. Love the concept with the frame kind of closing in on him and impeding him. Nice acting as well. That's got to take a lot to get those facial expressions just right and not be way over the top or too understated. Just very, very fun. And I love the ending, just a fun ending. Yeah, and the music and just all of the shots were great.
He's obviously up against a deadline. There's lots of physical comedy in this, where he's fighting with the frame as it's closing in on him. And that's where a lot of the comedic relief comes from, is through the strong physical comedy and through this feeling of wanting him to get it done before he's out of time. So you get the sense of you're cheering him on. You want him to win against the frame.
I really loved the use of this kind of silent film style while still incorporating like a laptop and very clearly, modern technology. Fun kind of timeless kind of comedy of Charlie Chaplin, and like where you're using so much sound and you're using so much, facial expressions and everything else because you don't have dialogue. Like it is a silent film. And so you're using so much of everything else that's exaggerated, and it's really fun. It's fun for the audience, especially because it's something that we don't really see anymore these days, or not very often. So it's really, really refreshing.